Hey everybody, good to see you. We are talking about Mars-Pluto today. So I'll wait for a few more of you to get in here. Now, this has been a hot topic that a lot of people have been asking me to talk about exclusively for a long time. We do talk about this a lot. Mars-Pluto aspects, Sun-Pluto aspects in my apprentice group because they're so interesting, and there's a few people in that group that do have those, including my first apprentice, main apprentice, um, Tosca. So maybe she'll join me later this week, and we can do a part two when it comes to this. It's not. I don't have a Mars Pluto aspect, so it's. I can't speak to it personally. It's nice when you do have, somebody who can. I like to have conversations with people that have certain aspects that I don't. Because it brings, the theoretical perspective, uh, what I think I know, uh, to bear with someone's actual real life experience and perspective, how somebody actually lives it out. So, yeah, we'll see if she's game. She probably is. She's brave because she has a Mars-Pluto conjunction. So, Mars-Pluto aspects work differently depending on gender, depending on what you identify as. Because Mars is that proactive quality within us that wants to get something. It's that masculine principle that gets what it wants. See, Venus is what we want. That's the desire. That's the object of our desire. But Mars is the action. It is the passion with which we act on that object of our desire. Mars is how we get what we want. And the two things can be different: what we want, the object of our desire, and the way in which we get it. Those two things can be different. This is a complicating thing when this happens in our own chart, like I've got going on. This has presented a bit of a learning curve for me because they're in semi-sextile signs, Mars and Venus. You don't even have to have a Ptolemaic aspect that's difficult between Mars and Venus to show a difficulty in pursuit. So you have to understand that before we get into this lesson. We have to understand the action of Mars. What is Mars for? What does Mars do? What is it? And we'll talk about Pluto a little bit here too. But Mars and Pluto both are in opposition to Venus in the natal chart. Both of them. And so they both have this objectification built into them. The potential for destroying what we want or getting what we want. It depends on the force, the balance there. The force with which we go after something or get something in relationship to what that thing is. Both planets represent force. Mars Pluto aspects are so interesting because Mars used to rule Scorpio. Now they have an inconjunct aspect to each other. Now they have an inconjunct relationship to each other in modern times. This to me, this is so interesting because it's indicative of our collective evolution. Where previously Mars, that masculine principle, because Mars is the masculine principle, Venus is the feminine principle, giving and receiving, aggressive, passive, the yin and the yang. The object, Venus, and the pursuit, the energy, Mars. And then let's look at Pluto in relationship to that. Mars being in that previously Plutonic position, ruling the things of Scorpio. This is the old realm of Martian activity. Where we have that masculine principle of proactivity, the attack, the chase, getting what we want, working hard. Coming into this realm of possession. And so Mars being in that scorpionic position way back when is showing us the dowry system, the older exchange, the type of transactional exchange. And so we've come to some degree out of that. You haven't, if you have Mars-Pluto or Sun-Pluto aspects in your chart, you're not out of that yet. You're in the dowry system. You can transform out of that. That's the potential. And come into cooperation and not engaging in relationships for enrichment, personal enrichment. So we can actually have relationship rather than hierarchy within the home. So Mars now ruling Aries these days, it's in a romantic position. It's not ruling the outdated, patriarchal, abusive, using dowry system. It's come into participating in the dance of romance. Do you see why Mars rules Aries now? And there's some cultures who are still doing the exchange of sex for money, relationship for a place to live, or you're still engaging with somebody and enriching their life to be fed. That is still going on in some ways. We haven't come out of that way of thinking and appreciating another for who they are in themselves. We're still in that Mars ruling Pluto objectification system, the tit for tat. Yes, Imogene, the Vedic system is still attached to that idea of marital dowry because they still use the old rulership. They're not in the new idea of Mars is best suited to the chase. Mars isn't king of the castle anymore, automatically. He used to be when he ruled Scorpio. He might be able to be if he plays cards right in Aries, but it's not automatic. It depends on how good of a hunter he is. How does Mars function? Because you have to look at Mars opposite to Venus, Aries, Libra. This is what we're dealing with now. But people with Mars-Pluto, Sun-Pluto aspects, Mars-Pluto, that's what we're talking about today. It's like the lizard brain. The part of us that is very basic and about being in survival mode is still caught in that idea of some kind of security exchange rather than a romantic exchange. This is a good question, Imogene. Does this mean that Pluto is a masculine force or a feminine force? Pluto is a feminine sign. It's a feminine planet. Scorpios, it's a feminine polarity. Venus in Taurus is the expression of femininity. Venus in Aries is actually a masculine sign. Aries is a masculine sign. We don't associate it with that, but it is. And it shows us that there is this power, this evolvement when it comes to what Venus means in Libra. It's come into a cerebral sign in Libra. It's come into the sign of equality here. Mars is opposite to equality in Aries with what we deal with it, how we deal with it now in the Western world or in the non-dowry system. You know what I mean. And so Venus has this more masculine ability in Libra. It thinks for itself. It can get for itself. It has the ability to meet what Mars brings. And so you can see the evolution of humanity in the discovery of planets. And when those happen, it's right at that stage that we are discovering those processes within ourselves as a collective. When Neptune was discovered, this was the age of ether, the early age of anesthesia. It's the same time. When Uranus was discovered, these were earth-shattering scientific discoveries, novel discoveries that accompanied Uranus at that time. When Pluto was discovered, it was at that same time in history that we discovered uranium. It was the Plutonic age. We discovered plutonium. there is something else to be found too. There's something else out there. We haven't discovered it yet, but we're going to get there. There is something pulling on the moon. We're going to figure it out. I think it's going to be a planet so far out there that it's not a generational planet. It's an era planet. And it marks an age. It'll probably mark an age of about 2,000 years. We'll see what happens. So looking at Mars-Pluto aspects, we're looking at the pursuit, the simple pursuit. Mars in ruling Aries, being naturally opposite now to Venus. And we're looking at the deep pursuit, Pluto, which naturally opposes Venus and brings all of those materialistic material exchange, plutonic exchange, dowry system ideas, lizard brain ideas when it comes to survival mode. How do we hook up? How do we mate? How do we pursue? What do we pursue in service to survival mode? So this is why Mars-Pluto aspects are so complex, because we have the surface action of mobilizing our energy, passion. It's just what revs us up, linked with some kind of deeper agenda. With the easy aspects between Mars and Pluto, we don't have a problem with getting what we want with combining those two things. Oh, Mina, you have a Mars trine Pluto. That can be easier. We do have to look at everything, because with trines, especially even sun trines to Pluto, we can get some of the evil that can come with it. Because trines make things easy. You wouldn't think that with trines. But Mars Pluto trines, Sun Pluto trines, those can be perverted pretty easily because of how effortlessly we can combine pursuit and agenda. So you have to look at the content. You have to look at the motivation. And because there's some people where that is not an issue. That's not an issue. That's not hurting anybody. It's not hurting them. It's not hurting anybody else. To look at the motivation. If the motivation is unhealed, or if it's wholly selfish, as Mars Pluto and Sun Pluto things can drive us to, then we got a problem. You're probably going to be hurting people with your libido. You'll be hurting yourself and others with your desire nature. And this is what we have to understand with the difficult aspects between Mars and Pluto, is that we have a predator nature within us. That if it's left unrestrained, and if we don't understand it, if we do not control ourself, then we can be harmed and we can harm others. Our desire nature, our libido, can be the devil within us and the devil that others have to wrestle with. So with Pluto, there's always that possibility of dramatic dramatic transformation that isn't going to happen for everybody that has these hard aspects. We won't have a fullness of realization. The conjunction is the hardest to deal with. Always conjunctions in all cases are always the hardest to deal with because we don't have our foundational stories about ourselves being obviously projected out. With oppositions, we have the luxury of others outside of ourselves directly opposing us and giving us those werewolf moments. Oh my God, is that what I look like? I thought that was you. Because we show up with oppositions, with stories about others that we will enact in such a way that we will get them to do and be what it is that we showed up believing about them. It's not as obvious, if ever, with a conjunction that we do this to people, that we bring out in them what we, on a deep, deep level, think about us. The projection is so unconscious with a conjunction. You don't see yourself, you don't understand what you do with a conjunction until you look behind you. You have to look at your wake of destruction, the wake of consequence. Because when the unconscious is in motion, when it's enacting, especially with Mars-Pluto or Sun-Pluto conjunctions, when it's in motion, you do not see it while it is operating. That's the nature of the unconscious. You only see it after it has come out. That's why you look behind you. And you have to look at the wake behind you to understand yourself. So we don't see conjunctions happening. We don't see them operating. We don't see the dream appearing for us in real time. We have to learn from it and change by accepting what we've done after we've done it. You have the luxury of seeing it in real time and being able to pull back with the opposition and in conjunction with any of the other hard aspects. With a square too, we can recognize, oh my God, I'm doing it. I'm doing it again. Or it's back. We just don't know until we've already done it with the conjunction. And so there's this incremental change that can come when we realize, okay, this is what I'm capable of. This is what I do. When I'm doing it, I don't know I'm doing it. I don't mean to do it. I don't think I'm doing it, but I am. And we have to start to control ourselves. We have to start to, yes, lost stage conjunctions are similar to Aries. They're about self-unawareness. Yes. Conjunctions are represented by Aries. They're the first aspect. It's the beginning of the cycle, just like Aries. Conjunctions are represented by that sign. All aspects are represented by a certain sign, depending on where they geometrically fall, within what sign, as related to that 0-degree point in Aries. So we associate sextiles with Gemini because they fall into the 3rd house. We associate squares with the 4th, 10th house, Capricorn, Cancer, because from the 0-degree Aries point, that's a square. We associate, biquintiles with the 9th house, quintiles with the 5th. It depends on where that aspect falls. We associate oppositions with Libra because it's directly opposite to that 0-degree Aries point. Imogene, if you want to know more of these secrets, which are not secrets, they're just things that we usually don't talk about, but it explains astrology when you really understand them. I have classes going on all the time that explain all this. I also have playlists for purchase. If you guys don't want to join a class, you just want a playlist, you could listen to it at your leisure. I have a lot of those too. So with conjunctions, we have this infantile nature. It's all about me. I am the center of it all. Because don't you remember being a very, very young child and having that perception that you are the middle of it all? The world does revolve around you. It's a very normal way of thinking for a young child. We don't grow out of that with conjunctions. That is a foundational story that we continue to bring with us. I remember the day, I don't remember exactly how old I was, probably older than most people are, the day I realized that I wasn't the center of it all. It was the day I realized that my mother did not exist for me. Just a second. I'm gonna assert a little discipline here. I'm gonna act like I have the opposition. Stop it, girls. Away. Stop it. Look, I remembered my riding crop. How appropriate. I think I'll have this one for this lesson and Sun Pluto too. Yeah. Because I know all of you who have these hard aspects would like to use it on somebody. But it's probably you who needs it most. And on some level, you know that. That's why you're trying to bring out the worst in people. So they will punish you in the way that you, on some level, feel that you need to be punished. These are intensely masochistic aspects to deal with. Mars, Pluto, Sun, Pluto. There's some part of us that needs the harshest kind of information and reflection to be able to change. And that's why with the hard aspect, especially, the opposition, the square, the inconjunction. Inconjunction, God. Yeah, we do bring out the worst in others, but we don't want to see it consciously, like we do so much with the other aspects. But there's a brutality that accompanies these combinations. This is going to be a long lesson. I may have to do segments on this. It's such a complex subject. So we have life and death that are directly in aspect to each other with Mars, Pluto, Sun, Pluto aspects. It's like a sarcophagus or a, oh, you know what it is? That's what it is. It's Chernobyl. The hard aspects are Chernobyl. And there is this concrete dome, sarcophagus, enclosure that encompasses aspects of the ego with these aspects. But something leaks out. No matter how hard you try to keep it in, or how thick you make the cement, something toxic is leaking out. We're more aware of it with the difficult aspects that are not the conjunction. With the conjunction, it's like we have these eruptions of our inner trauma, the unconscious. It leaks out up through the identity in such a way that it's like half the face is black, half the face is white. Sun, Pluto conjunctions too. And so the light part of the face, the sun, the conscious part, it's trying to look for what is erupting. It's looking for the poison. It's looking for what's leaking out of that concrete dome. It wants to know because there's a sense that we are an enemy to ourselves. We know on some level we're fucking ourselves bad with a conjunction, but we can't find it. We're trying to look over to this part. It's all face. It's all the face, though. When you take your eyes, look, and try to look at this side of your face, you can't see what it looks like. But this side is the facade. We know what this is like because it's a fake persona that we have. We have a fake personality when we have the conjunction. We're fake as fuck. And we hate that in everybody else. Why are we fake? Because we're afraid. We're afraid of being seen. We're afraid of being seen. And so we do things to others to force them to show us who they are while we hide and justify it. They always justify it. Always. Always with the hard aspects is justified. With the conjunction, the opposition, I had to hide behind my castle wall and fire arrows at you while hiding myself, or else how would I know what I'm getting into here? They laugh about it. They'll laugh with the opposition. They'll be fake with you. They'll try to bring out the worst in you. And then you'll confront them with it, and they will laugh in your face. They will laugh in your face. You didn't see it? I destroyed you? And you didn't even see it? It's a game. It's a game. Now the square will fucking kill you for doing that. They will kill you for doing that to them. And we don't like it with the conjunction or the opposition either, but we know we do it to other people. So, it's part of the game. With the square, we try to obliterate that kind of behavior. We work against bullies. We are the bully. We're figuring that out with the conjunction or the opposition. We are the bully. Unless we choose to control ourselves, we are the bully. Or we're bullied. And it can be both. It usually is both. For women, we experience more bullying. We experience more being the victim because of the role of Mars in society. We know that we are victim and victimizer with the opposition. We know that. But if the sun is in passive signs and we have passive aspects to the sun, we will be wholly more victimized, wholly more, than be the one that's in the place of dominator. We will experience being dominated. You have to look at the sign that the sun comes, Mars comes in. If Mars is in an aggressive sign, and we don't have mitigating aspects like foundational stories from Neptune, or I'm a nice guy to Jupiter, or I am, the most organized in the room, if she has an aspect to Saturn. If we don't have mitigating influence, because you have to look at everything. The stories that we act out on are very complex, and they're more complex the more those stories are connected to different planets, because that's all aspects are. That's all they are. We have these 12 universal archetypal needs, and then depending on the aspectual relationship between these planets, these archetypal needs that represent all the signs, that shows our idea of success or failure when getting those two linked needs met. And so we have this idea of incredible resistance. Okay, somebody's going to go because we have somebody very rude, so goodbye. We have resistance built in. And see, we're resistant to change with Mars-Pluto, Sun-Pluto contacts, but it's what we want most of all. And we are more likely to get it with the squares faster than we are with the other aspects. The inconjunction, we'll talk about that too in particular. That's what's so interesting. Oh my God, that's so interesting. With the square, we're actively fighting against what seeks to take our power. We're pushing against what seeks to diminish us or devalue us actively. And we can see ourselves as bullied a lot. Usually we come from a place or a family where we had an extremely narcissistic or selfish, especially Sun square Pluto, even more so, devaluing parent. And so the ego has developed this idea that I must continually fight back against what seeks to oppress me or take my power away or devalue me or diminish me. And they actually do a lot of good in the world when it comes to opposing certain figures that some people won't have the backbone or the willpower or the wherewithal to do. So we have ideas that nothing comes easy, and if it does, it's probably a danger. You know what it's a danger to? Your ego. Because if we accept what wants us, if we accept what comes easy, if we accept that others actually don't want to oppose us, don't want to control us, they don't want to take something from us, it will totally mess with those foundational stories. And you have to really examine your ideas about people, your ideas about yourself, your ideas about power and dominance. And we'd rather not do that, really. We would rather not transform out of those difficult things because we have to give up our position. We have to give up a certain amount of power. It's fake anyway. It's just you're just giving up inauthenticity. You're giving up games. You're giving up all these reasons to expend these massive amounts of energy for no reason. It does kill us. It does. It wears us out. And we wear others out. Doesn't matter what the difficult aspect is, you will wear others out over the course of time. That's part of the idea, especially men with these. It's different for women. Women are, I'll focus on that, especially when I talk about the inconjunction. I can really highlight how the gender differences do matter with these aspects, because we're looking to prove that we can get what we want at all costs with the difficult aspects. Women, or people that identify as feminine figures, we are looking to prove that you cannot hunt me and get me and trap me and mate with me no matter what you do. It's the resistance to the predator. These are big game when they get a hold of each other. They are. Mars-Pluto woman, oh, she's scared of Mars-Pluto man. Yeah, she's scared. And he's scared of her too. Because he knows she's locked at the knee. But he wants that one more than anyone else. Because if he can get her to submit, even though it's not about her, he doesn't care about her, is going to make him feel so damn good about himself. For a minute. Till he finds some other big game. Mars-Pluto woman knows this. About Mars-Pluto and Sun-Pluto man. She knows. And that's why Sun-Pluto women, Mars-Pluto women rarely give it up. And Sun-Pluto men and Mars-Pluto men are man whores. Promiscuous, goal-posting, man whores. If you're unhealed. And that's the thing they hate in women, is promiscuity. They hate it. They're the one that's there to bring it out in you if it exists at all. So they can blame you for it. Devalue, go post, find another one. Rinse, repeat, recycle. See, it's Pluto. See, Pluto is the garbage bin. It's the recycle. And so there's this idea in unhealed, toxic people with Mars, Pluto, Sun, Pluto aspects that it's up to me to show you how weak you are. It's up to me. Who else is going to do it? It's a projection. They want you, they want to bring out the worst in you. They want to destroy you. They want to test. They want to poke at you until you finally put your hands up and you show them through your reaction or your total destruction what they are. That's the only way they can see it. So it's this, you have to go to this extreme. And when you have sex with an unhealed Sun Pluto or a Mars Pluto man, they're extremely forceful and they justify it because that's what they think women want. That's what they think their role is. If I can pressure you hard enough and you break, then I can see your weakness. But what they don't understand is that other men, other masculine figures, and this could, be in a goal-posting woman too, an unhealed woman. They don't understand that other people do not do that. That you don't do that. You're only going to find that kind of behavior in somebody that has those kind of destructive dominance ideas. But they think that everybody's like that. Everybody is out to take a piece of them. Or rape is a really big idea. It's a circulating idea. And often it's a foundational idea of unhealed men that are erring on the dominant side rather than the being victimized side of these aspects. Women, no means yes. That's the idea. That's the belief. No means yes. And if I can just burst through your no and get a yes out of you, then I've seen what you really are. But see, it's their own inability to control themselves. That's the problem. They want you to control them. They want you to be the one that pushes back with as much force. And so you have to respond to them with this maximum amount of masculinity, maximum amount of willpower. And that is when you will get that respect. But you don't get to be receptive when you're dealing with someone who's unhealed and is coming from the dominating aspect of this. Because you can have some people with this opposition that are wholly more passive. And they are experiencing what I am talking about in others. But they're on the receiving end, especially if it's an opposition. The lost stage, hell was created for men with Mars-Pluto. Unhealed. Because the men who have a healed aspect or a good aspect there's nothing to worry about here. We have positive, proactive, warm, safe masculinity. There's nothing to worry about because they control themselves. They're not looking for you to control them so they can then blame you for controlling them and then discard you and find somebody else who's going to do the same thing. They don't do that. In fact, see, people with unhealed men, masculine figures, this can be women too. It's what do you identify as? When they're unhealed, the libido, the sexual power, the masculinity is unrestrained. They're looking to you to restrain them. That's why they want to fight with you. And there's a look on the face of people that have these unhealed aspects that when you do, especially if you get into a sexual situation with them, because they're very rough and very forceful. And when you do push back, it will bring out this lust for more. When you don't push back and you go more weak, they lose interest. But that's not a turn on. They want the tussle. It's about dominance. It's not about love. It's not about cooperation. It's not about you. It's about them seeing how strong they are. It's survival mode only. And so we have to come to a place of deciding to control ourselves instead of blowing through others' boundaries or being so forceful that they have no choice but to react in such a way or put down a hard boundary. They want hard boundaries. They do. They will try to destroy those boundaries, but they want to see them because they know that you will be able to keep yourself safe from them, and then the relationship will be able to continue. But if you drop your guard, it's over. They don't respect you anymore. Rinse, wash, repeat. Mars-Pluto aspects, Sun-Pluto aspects too, it's like a caveman sitting in front of a cave with two sticks. But the possibility is this: if we realize that we're rubbing two sticks together, we have plutonic tools. The possibility is that could magically transform into a toolbox. It usually will not. We usually don't get that far with Mars-Pluto aspects. We can if we have a significant loss, failure. Sometimes people will get it. But you really have to look at the ego as being so, with Sun-Pluto or Mars-Pluto aspects, it's encased. You know, our toxicity is encased in that Chernobyl sarcophagus. Concrete. Something will always leak out until it's transformed. So we have to keep the lid on it. That's why the fake persona is so necessary. We have to keep a lid on it because we know what we're capable of on some level, and it ain't pretty. Some people invite Mars-Pluto or hard Sun-Pluto aspects into their identity. It is a part of a forceful, dominating identity. And for some people, it's just a piece of it. And they can be very complex characters because they can be very giving, very loving. We can have a generous identity. And then there is this intensely dominating, scary aspect of them that you will always have to watch out for. You always have to keep up a certain amount of resistance, always. And it never allows you to know somebody. You can never know them if you're fighting, if you're resisting, if it is something you always have to protect yourself because they're always trying to break you down, break you down, break you down. Give them the truth. That's the best thing, how to handle people who haven't transformed out of these difficult aspects. You just give them the goddamn truth, and it's usually going to come with a good fucking bye. Because that's the only way they get it, especially men that haven't worked through their dominance paradigms. If you're in the room, they take that as a yes. If you're in communication, they take that as a yes. You can be sitting next to them and asserting yourself and, putting your boundaries out there and saying no. They don't believe you. They'll believe you. because no means yes. And they just keep at you, keep at you, keep at you, keep at you until you either give up. And sometimes you will. Sometimes you will. You'll be just going to be like, you know what? I can't spend this entire relationship cock blocking. You know, unless I let you in, I ain't never going to get to know you. It doesn't work. It doesn't work because you'll just find another layer of, well, now I have to get through this or get through that because the pressure is relentless to give up what it is that your resources are, whatever your resources are. That could be money, that could be sex, that could be compliments, it could be attention. They want that so badly. But once they get it, they don't appreciate it. You get this too with Sun-Mars conjunctions. You can get this. It's not as toxic because of the nature of Mars with the Sun is so much more, guys, it's less complex. We don't have the deep agenda. We don't have those deep foundational control paradigms that are there. It's so much easier to see beyond that. The opposition between Sun and Mars is extremely obnoxious. That's one that we can see too, once we recognize, hey, nobody likes me. Why doesn't anybody like me? Well, because you're an obnoxious asshole, that's why. But once we see it with the opposition, we can just accept that because there's a humility that is actually interesting with Sun-Mars conjunctions. It's like once we see our failure, see, we want to do better with Sun-Mars stuff we do. We're very much motivated to win, and we can't win unless we have more information. We're after that with Mars-Pluto stuff, Sun-Pluto stuff, more information, but we resist it at the same time. Another thing with Mars-Pluto or Sun-Pluto stuff, the hard aspects, is when you do finally break and tell them exactly what you fucking think of them, they will have a type of ego orgasm that looks like this. Seriously. If you tell them a hard truth, or you finally have had enough, and you tell them what they really look like, you'll get this. It's an ego orgasm. Oh, somebody finally told me. Yeah, I know my apprentice does this all the time. She's got the conjunction. I mean, I will hit that girl with information that would seriously destroy the average person, and she'll just be like, there's the strength within them. There is a strength within them where they can receive information that would kill anybody else. But that's what they're trying to get you to do. But they have to kill you first. Just don't do that. When you deal with somebody with the unhealed aspects and you're dealing with either the macro obvious devaluations or the micro devaluations, which come in the form of teasing games. It's devaluation. Recognize it. They're looking for you to prove yourself to them. That's devaluation. That's a way of saying, I don't believe you. Prove it to me. Those are plutonic games that you can't win. You can't prove it because it's not about you. It's about them proving themselves to themselves. And until they come to a place where they really do recognize what they're capable of and they choose to control themselves, that testing, that relentless putting you in compromising positions so they can see what you will do, hiding behind their castle wall and shooting arrows at you, and then laughing when you point out that they're a hypocrite. Yeah, just go there right from the very beginning. Don't try to be polite. They don't want that. They don't respect that. They don't respect you being nice. They want you to tell them the fucking truth. Just do it from the beginning. Tell them you know exactly what they are. You know what they're up to. That's the only way that they'll stop, maybe. The only other way is to remove yourself from their presence. Because if you're in the room, they always take that as a yes, even though you're saying no, even though you're saying, I don't like that, even though you're saying you're crossing my boundary, they do not care. To them, that's part of the game. They don't respect boundaries. So just push back right from the beginning with maximum force. Usually that's going to mean cutting them out. And most people with these hard, unhealed aspects, that's what happens. They end up cut out, and then they clamor to get back in, clamor to get back in, clamor to get back in, because they can reenact the pursuit. They get themselves 86th, and then they just want to pay that cover charge again. Rinse, wash, and repeat. So, yeah, recognize it right from the beginning. Be harsh. You're not going to hurt them, but they will hurt you. The healed aspects. Oh, these are beautiful to deal with. These people can work hard, but not at the expense of their happiness. They work hard to keep what it is that they earn. They will work hard to get it, because they do deserve it. They know they deserve it because they didn't cheat. See, we cheat with the hard aspects. With the easy aspects, we don't cheat. We don't cut corners. We don't lie. We don't obfuscate. We don't test. We don't stand behind that castle wall and shoot our arrows and laugh when you look back. And where is that coming from? We don't do that with the hard aspects. I mean, with the easy aspects, or with the healed hard aspects. We do work hard. We believe in that. We believe that we should deserve what we get. But then we will work just as hard to maintain it, keep it, and grow it. We live in poverty with the conjunction of Mars, Pluto, Sun, Pluto. They live in poverty, even though they'll try to tell you otherwise. They're poor. Until they've healed it. Until they have really come to a place where they realize, how are they cyclically screwing themselves? Because it's that energetic waste. Money's energy. We get a lot of it when we are healed and we're in that place of deep acceptance. We attract money. But we're in a place of inner poverty when we're energetically not aligned with our conscience. We remain in a state of depravity. We're deprived in some way. We're depriving ourselves, actually, of the relationships, situations, conditions, choices that could enrich us, because we would have to give up some amount of power or dominance in order to get there. So, wow. Yeah, these aspects, they can go either way. Don't judge somebody as an automatic goalposter when you see these, or a woman who's automatically locked at the knee and has got cobwebs growing around her vagina because she won't let anybody touch her because she's so paranoid about having any amount of energy stolen. People can transform. They can. Not all of them will. And not everybody is going to exhibit the most extreme, most toxic qualities of these aspects. It comes in a spectrum. And you will have to look at everything. It is easier to see who is likely to err on the side of toxicity, who is likely to err more on the side of transformation. You know, depending on the combination of stories and aspects. The inconjunction between this one is so interesting, the charts of women, men too, but let's start with women. It's overwhelmingly common for women that have Mars in conjunct to Pluto to experience a mate, a masculine figure or a woman figure that is impotent, that develops impotency as the relationship goes on. And it's because women with these unhealed aspects are so forceful and penalizing and they shrink a man's penis. You're a penis shrinker, ladies. You are. I know you don't want to hear that, but you're a penis shrinker. Because when you get mad, you don't just take the tip. You take the whole thing. And you use a blunt spoon and you dig it out from the base. It doesn't automatically grow back. It might if you have an unhealed Mars-Pluto guy, because he will love that shit. It might grow back. Unless you go too real. And then you'll trigger too many shame issues and he'll run away and hide and just rent a bunch of whores for a while to soothe himself. We get so, because we hold it in with an inconjunction. And then when you release that anger, it comes in the form of disrespect. It's too much. It is actually toxic masculinity that you're fighting back with. And in the moment, it feels right. It feels good, actually, because you've kept it within a trap door because you're a nice person. You don't want to be forceful. You don't see that about yourself. You don't want to make people do things. That's why you've been holding back. But it's the lack of balance. You can't hold back that much because the anger builds, the libido builds, the proactivity builds, the resentment builds. And then he does that one thing or he doesn't put that dish away right. And you get out the spoon. Poor dude. And poor you. Because you probably put up with way too much for way too long, and now you've had enough. You can't let yourself get to that point. Men with this inconjunction are extremely fearful of impotence, are about 80% so, though, unless it's healed. You get a 50-50 with the opposition. Usually you don't get impotence with conjunctions. It's an expression of the lack of total participation between ego and body. So with the inconjunction, men can get into things like challenging themselves. Women too. They will work out strenuously. It's like the hardest kind of work, but you have to look at everything, because if Mars is in a weak sign or we have aspects to Neptune, you'll get the opposite. Like, I can't lift a 5-pound weight. These can be weird to interpret. You have to look at everything. But if we have the idea of dominance more within us rather than the idea of weakness, because we have extreme strength and dominance and extreme weakness with the inconjunction. We're going back and forth, and they aren't oppositional to each other with an inconjunction like they are with an opposition. The other is clearly in our view at all times with an opposition, and they are out of our view. They're out of the room. The other side of us, the other factor, what happens tomorrow, the consequence of this factor, it's out of our sight completely. It's out of the room. And we are only operating from this one side that has no additional information or input when it's an inconjunction. That's why you get that purity of oscillating behavior, which results in us appearing as incongruent, unpredictable. Where did that come from? Because we tend to show one side of our personality with an inconjunction because there's a total lack of integration. And then when the other thing is triggered, the other side comes out and it's like, who is this? It's a Dr. Jekyll and a Mr. Hyde on a serious atomic scale, any inconjunction. So we're going back and forth between suppressing and then expelling all of that libido, anger, drive, energy, proactive masculine power. And so men will do things like they build their strength, they build their libido, they build their muscle, they build their whatever, and then they go into competition and it all comes out. Or we can get something like we're a high, like a surgeon or something, and you know, we're preparing, we're reading, we're doing minor surgeries, and then there's our debut with the big one. And this is when all of that mastery and everything that's stored up can come out. And so, yeah, it's a maximum amount of being afraid of being preyed on with the inconjunction. But with all the aspects, we are afraid of that. But how do we deal with it? That depends on the aspect. How much force do we protect ourselves with? How ready are we? So with oppositions between Mars and Pluto, we are showing up with stories that other people want to disempower me, want to take something from me. They might even want me to do their work. And so we show up with a tude that reflects what we already believe. And then because we show up with that tude, other people reflect that to us because that's how we're being. And we'll be like, that's not my work, that's not my thing, that's yours. No, I'm not doing that. You're gonna make me do that. People are like, you know what? We're all putting our shoulder to the wheel. Why are you special? In fact, we're gonna give you your work and you're gonna get somebody else's because you showed up with all of that. Or we'll show up with this aggressive, men or women, will show up with this aggressive stance. I know you're just looking to get me. And that's how other people will regard us. Because that's how we look to them first. But we thought that's how they looked to us first. So that's why we showed up that way. so we could protect ourselves. Hello. We don't have that automatic shadow side assertion with a square. Actually, with the square, it's interesting. When you call them on their bullshit, they'll, most of the time, even in real time, they'll just like accept it. And you don't get the, aren't I funny? It's a game. With the conjunction or the opposition, you get more of a, yeah, you're right. With the conjunction too, with Sun Pluto or Mars Pluto, when you do call them on their bullshit, a lot of times what you'll get is this. Yeah, you got me. Like, I dated this one dude years ago in my early 20s that had a Sun Pluto thing, Libra dude. And God, he was so funny. He told me this story once. He's all, I had this girlfriend and I was cheating on her and because he cheated on everybody. And he's all, and she knew it because she smelled the chicken salad sandwich on my breath. and she knew that when I went to see this other girl, that she would always serve me a chicken salad sandwich. And so she was like, I know you've been cheating. He's like, I haven't. She's all, I smell the chicken salad sandwich on your breath. He's all, you got me. That's how he told the story. No shame. None. Because he hadn't dealt with the shame issues. It was a game. That relationship did not last long. So we can become so effective when we transform out of the wasteful aspects of these, the wasteful pitfalls that these aspects represent. We actually do become very enriched. Materially, spiritually, sexually. We can have the richest sex lives. Meaningful. If transformation happens. If it doesn't for women, again, not much sex. With men, a lot, but it doesn't mean anything. We can have the most deepest, transformative, meaningful, energetic connections when we really come to appreciate others for who they are in themselves, not as a measure for our own dominance or survival, ability to survive, ability to win, ability to thrive. See, they're life-affirming aspects or life-disaffirming aspects. It depends on what you do with it. So I told you guys I was going to hit you hard because I know that that's what I need to do in order to get through. Because I know y'all, and I'm not afraid of you. I think you're funny. I think you're funny. Because you pay me to tell you hard things. If that ain't funny, I don't know what is. All right, I am out of breath. So I am going to go plant some stuff in the greenhouse and do some hard work myself. Because it does pay off. All right. I will come back tomorrow and do either Venus-Mars aspects or Sun-Pluto aspects. You girls let me, girls, you guys and girls, let me know. Ooh, I just pulled an unhealed Mars-Pluto. You girls let me know. I'll just bring the worst of you on my way out so you can tell me what you really think of me. Sleep well, peeps.